The Fed15 podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of either Raymond James or Serving Those Who Serve.
Welcome, everybody, to the Fed15 podcast presented by your friends at Serving Those Who Serve. Each week, we discuss the latest news and info the Feds need to know in 15 minutes-ish or less. So whether you're a seasoned federal employee or just starting out in your career, Fed15 has you covered. So grab your coffee, energy drink, green juice, whatever, kick back, and we'll tell you what you need to know but may have missed. We are your host. I'm Dan Sipe, and I am joined by the incomparable, the inimitable, the amazing Katelyn Murray.
Thank you. The amazing Katelyn Murray. That makes it sound like I am like a circus act. Did you know that my dream is to run away and join the circus? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
It is. I always wanted to be
as an employer, rope. That's troubling to me, Katelyn. So we may need to talk about that.
It shouldn't be, given that every day I get older and my joints probably will not allow me to do the trapeze work of my dreams, but I can always sort of remain a dream. I think it's good to have things that are forever dreams.
Well, fun crossover point between us then.
Yeah.
You know, some of the longtime listeners may know that, you know, my children were track and field athletes, shot put and discus. I was a coach. They have now become coaches in their lives. My son is coaching a very talented young man who, as a sophomore, you know, won the state titles in shot put and discus. And he literally was raised by a circus performer.
Wow.
So this kid can juggle, he can slack line, he can tightrope. And it's just astonishing what advantage that gives you in athletics.
That's so cool.
It
makes sense though. I forgot. I don't think I told you. My brother, the one who we talked about on a prior episode, winning his team won the football championship.
The guy with his own zip code.
Yeah. He is going to states now to like the states competition for shot put.
Outstanding.
I forgot that I hadn't told you that. Yeah.
You absolutely should have told me that.
Yeah, well, he just told me over Christmas. He was like, by the way, apparently, and he just started last year, but he's just massive and
sure,
he just has a lot of power.
Well, mass moves mass.
Throws, but yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Well, the other interesting thing about the gentleman my son coaches, he's going into his junior year, and he's now about 6'2" at about 225. So I don't know how many tightrope walkers are that big. I'm not sure.
That's a heavy duty tightrope.
That sounds big to me for tightrope.
That is airline cable, buddy. Like that is intense. Awesome.
Well, I could talk this fun stuff all day long, but I want to bet our folks tuned in to hear about some different things. So
little something about federal benefits. So as we are advancing into 2024, we thought it would be nice to kind of do a roundup of our most popular articles and podcasts and kind of media pieces from 2023. So we're going to kind of give a roundup of those in case folks missed something, in case you're interested in checking out, you know, what the most popular pieces are. And then we have some very exciting news on the 5.2% federal pay raise that we have been tracking all year. So Dana's going to share some updates there. But taking a look at our most popular articles and podcasts from 2023, if you're not aware, in addition to this Fed15 podcast, we also put out a Fed Life podcast, which is a bit longer, 2 episodes per month. Dan hosts that podcast with our colleague Ed Zerndorfer. Incredible mind when it comes to federal employee benefits. He is a former Fed himself. If you've never attended a webinar with him or listened to the Fed Life podcast, I definitely would recommend you check it out. It's more of a deep dive sort of podcast as opposed to Fed15, which is, you know, really just supposed to be a bite-sized update type of thing.
And a moose boosh.
Yeah. And I love that. A moose boosh. That's what we should have named the podcast. And then we also have our weekly serving emails that go out with all of our blog updates and articles. So make sure that you're plugged into all of those kind of different sources. And really, our most popular articles and podcasts from 2023 kind of span those. So
Sure.
in the Fed Zone blog on STWServe.com,
Written by
our most popular article was Secure Act 2.0 allows for rollover of unused 529 plans into a Roth IRA, which is huge news. I have had no less than 3 meetings this week where we talked about that. Folks who have 529 plans have already sent their kids through college, who have leftover funds in there. There are options. In 2024, you can roll up to $35,000 into a Roth IRA for the 529 plan beneficiary. And what's cool about 529 plans is that you can change the beneficiary to any member of the immediate family, and then you can roll another $35,000 into their Roth IRA. So really flexible, really cool kind of feature. That was one of the really good things that came out of Secure Act 2.0.
Nice.
So if you've got unused funds in a 529 plan, definitely check out that article on our blog. The Fed Life podcast had a very popular episode on disability retirement from the federal government. So this is a pretty complicated topic, definitely one for a deep dive. And there was actually a client this year who we pursued disability retirement for. He was formerly in the military and then came out of the military, took a job as a civilian Fed, and then unfortunately had some, illness issues come up. And so we were able to pursue a disability retirement for him. So definitely something to be in the know about. Benefits Ben, our very own, had a popular article this year, TSP News 2024 TSP contribution limits and massive transfers to G Fund. So this was when, I think it was a couple months ago, the TSP contribution limit, if you have not heard, if you did not see Benefits Ben's article, the TSP contribution limits have been increased. So the regular contribution for 2024 is $23,000. And then if you're over 50, you can put in an extra $7,500 as a catch-up contribution. So for a total of $30,500, just as a reminder, that's $500 more than you could put away in 2023. So it is important to periodically revisit your TSP contribution rates to make sure that you are keeping up, and that if you were maxing 5 years ago, you may not be maxing now, because those limits are adjusted year to year based on inflation. And then also massive transfers to the G Fund. That one makes me a little sad, Dan, because we did see, I tell people 2022 was a down year, no way around it, right? It was the downside of the roller coaster. 2023 has been 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And unfortunately, in the 1 step back that we had around October, we saw massive transfers to the G Fund. And that makes me sad, makes Dan sad, because we don't want to be reactive to markets. We don't want to pull out of the market. And unfortunately, with the situation in October, November, the first week of November, right after that pullback, was actually the best performing week in the markets up to that point in the year. And of course, we know there's been kind of a rally ongoing since then. So the folks who did make those transfers to the G Fund in October may have missed the boat as far as getting back in to the market. So not ideal, but definitely if you were one of those people, consider reaching out to a professional for assistance with kind of figuring out an investment plan, an investment strategy in your TSP that can really serve you long term. In Fed15 world, our most popular podcast episode of 2023 was actually the new health insurance program for USPS, the update on the health insurance program. And also in that episode, we discussed the potential of a government shutdown. So kind of a dual topic there, which is interesting. I'm glad people were, getting the news about the new health insurance program for Postal Service employees. And lastly, article by our very own Jen Meyer. She's a financial advisor here at Serving Those Who Serve. She wrote a piece on 4 follies that can ruin your federal retirement. And that is a really, really good article. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. The 4 follies, by the way, just as a quick roundup: unrealistic retirement date, trying to retire too early, not making TSP catch-up contributions. Those catch-up contributions currently at $7,500 per year that you can put away. Slipping on Social Security, claiming early on Social Security when really claiming at full retirement age, or even deferring until age 70 could be a better strategy for your unique situation. And the last is lax on leave, losing their annual leave, as opposed to getting getting comp on that. I would also maybe add sick leave misuse.
Yeah,
because as we know, sick leave can go towards that service computation, annual leave cannot. So big difference between those. And there's a lot of strategy.
A whole lot of folks should be, if they're in use or lose, unless they burn to have the last 2 weeks of the year off every year, they should consider using that in lieu of sick leave during the year and slowly build up that sick leave to boost the pension. That's a stealth benefit out there.
Absolutely. If you have no idea what we're talking about, then please do get in touch with us. Ask STWS at stwserve.com is the email address.
Gotcha.
So that was the roundup of what was most popular on stwserve.com, podcast-wise and blog-wise. Now we can kind of get into our pay raise update. Dan, tell the people what they want to hear.
Which is always the most popular thing, period.
Yeah.
I've had some interesting conversations with other media outlets, and it's always the same thing. It's like, hey, what's the most popular thing on your pay raise?
Pay raise.
Oh, okay. Hey, I saw your article on such and such. How did that do? Oh, it's pretty good. What's your most popular pay raise? So, I mean, everywhere it's the same. And we're happy to be a part of that. So, as of December 21st, President signed an executive order. It's 5.2%. Okay. So that's average across the board with locality pay factored in. The across the board pay raise is 4.7. With locality, it averages up to that. During that time, Congress also passed the National Defense Authorization Act, and that gave military and civilian DoD employees 5.2%. So this is pretty well set. And I'll encourage you, if you want to dig deeper, hit our blog this week. Benefits Ben wrote it. And what you're going to find is if the shutdown happens, and we hope it doesn't, that's why I'm in gray today, because I have hope that it won't. If it doesn't, if there's a reset, it may reset at 8.7. So it's a weird little quirk in there, but we don't feel that's going to happen. We feel the 5.2 is pretty well locked in. And another place you can go on the site is Ed Zerdorfer. His latest article talks about the leave year for 2023 at most agencies will end Friday, January 13th, because it's a rare 27 pay period year, which means your raise, listen up, won't be reflected on your paycheck until the January 26th payday. So if you start looking in a week or so going, hey, where's my raise? Understand you're still in last year. Okay. And Ed has a couple of good tips in there for you to read up on to make sure that you are getting the full raise to which you are entitled, because we're always here for you on that. We want to make sure that you have what you need. And the biggest thing that we always want serving those who serve to be is that one place where what you need to know is curated, easy to find, any Fed can come. Yes. Do we have a full service fiduciary financial planning group? 100%. And anybody who wants to discuss that with us, we are thrilled. But you don't have to. And we plow proceeds from that back into producing this content that can help every single Fed. So it's a virtuous cycle. We want you to use it. We want you to benefit from it. And if you decide that you want somebody to walk this path with you and guide you, we're happy to have that conversation. You can hit us up at askstws@stwserve.com anytime you like.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
I like the concept of a virtuous cycle. I think that's very apt.
Yep.
For today, though, folks, that's all we've got. We've got our 2023 roundup. We've got some exciting pay raise update that is confirmed and locked in for you. It's kind of like, it's a feeling like after Christmas when you open all your presents and you're like, now it's over, right? Because we've been tracking that pay raise since, of course, early in 2023. So we've completed yet another cycle and looking forward to 2024 and beyond. But we will be back next week to continue bringing you all of the latest updates that you as a Fed need to make informed decisions about your career and your financial well-being.
And be sure to hit that subscribe button for the Fed15, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast, our YouTube channel, and Spotify as well, so that you're covering both of them. And please remember to share it with your friends and colleagues.
Definitely. Yep. It's free and it really, really helps us out. For more information on the topics covered in today's show, if you want to check out some of those articles that were our most popular pieces of 2023, check those out at blog.stwserve.com. You can also subscribe to our newsletter while you're there. That's called the Weekly Serving, to get all the latest news for Feds delivered straight to your inbox each week.
Yep. And also, don't forget our live webinars. So we've got a couple that you should definitely check out coming into the new year. On January 17th, we've got our tremendously popular TSP webinar. That's from 11 till 2. And then the following day, we have an equally popular one that doesn't always get as much love and play from us, Katelyn. So I'm glad we're bringing this up. And that's our Social Security webinar, which will be on the 18th from 1 until 4. Sign up for one, sign up for all, share them with your friends. They will thank you.
Absolutely. Definitely do join us there. Particularly the TSP planning webinar. Feds should join for that. Got to figure out what to do with that 5.2% increase, right?
What do we do with that pay raise?
Yeah.
Your future self will thank you.
Exactly. Thanks so much for listening to the Fed15, folks. I am Katelyn Murray.
And I am Dan Sipe.
And we will see you next week.
Take care, everyone.